Hello. I've been thinking a lot about my primary school life and my high school life. Mainly primary school lately because I'm kind of working my way, working my way back to today. Because I just want to think about anything that's not today. I really just don't want to think about my trip from my bed to the lounge or think about like why am I stuck in here? What what's going on? It's all so depressing. I need to think about like when I was a kid and I would constantly just have like doo dee doo dee doo running through my head constantly, like no joke. Like there was this one time that I was sitting and I used to always lie about not doing my homework because I never did my homework. The teacher's reports would be like, he's such a beautiful kid, but he just doesn't do any work outside of the class. In class, he's fine, he's beautiful. Outside, it's just like nothing's happening. And that's kind of like that's teacher talk for your son is hopeless and is never going to get a good career. But it's true. Um, but I remember like lying about not doing my homework, and I'd pulled out my tub, and my tub's a mess. It's like there would be books folded like this. For people who don't know what I'm talking about, a tub is like underneath your table. You pull out your tub, and it's essentially like your locker for primary school. It has all your books, your pencil cases, everything. And I remember it being like scrunched up pieces of paper everywhere, books folded like this, and everything just disgusting. Sometimes there'd be a sandwich in there. And I remember saying I hadn't done my homework, or I actually said this time that I'd lost it. So like the teacher's what's she called? Teacher's assistant was like, all right, well I'm gonna have a look in your tub for the homework, and if I find that it's not been done, then you're gonna be in big trouble. And so I'm like, and I was like, lucky my tub's a mess. Hopefully the bell can ring before we find it. And we're looking through it, and then a girl, she comes up, and all I remember of this is that she came up and she goes, excuse me, miss, but I'm not feeling. I'm like, I'm like sprayed. I'm like in direct fire, and I've got it all over me. I'm like bits of carrot here, bits of this and that, and it smells awful. But in my mind, I'm still like doo dee doo dee doo. No, I'm actually just like sitting there like what? And secretly, I'm thinking, yes, yes, I can't get in trouble now. I can't get in trouble for not doing my homework. Why that was running through my head? Because I was more scared of not doing my homework than being shunned for the entire rest of my primary school life, for being the one who got vomited on. But I got like completely sprayed, and this girl, like, I think she started crying because she just would have felt so awful, and I felt so bad for her because it's not her fault. It was her fault because she went. It was the teacher's fault because the teacher was like, go ask the teacher's assistant, go ask her, and she'll help. But I remember being like completely head to like knees drenched in acid, and we were walking to the nurses' office, sent straight there. And I remember as I'm drenched, they took off my jumper, they wiped down my pants. I still had to wear those pants. And then the mum comes of the other girl and is like, oh, I'm so sorry. And she felt so bad and wanted to take me home and then like get me cleaned up and then like send me back. And I wanted to go home, but I couldn't because like mum was at work and whatever. And I was like, can I just like walk home? Because I literally live around the corner. I'm like, can I just walk home and then come back? And I will come back. And they're like, no, sorry, we can't do that. So I had to stay at school covered in vom, or at least I've been wiped down, but it's like I'm still gross. I had like in my hair and I like wiped it a bit. And then I remember like even whilst I was still drenched, the teacher that walked with us, after the girl had left, was like, oh no, I got a bit in my hair and I've got a date tonight. I'm like I'm like wearing a Lady Gaga-esque suit of this acid, and she's thinking about poor her. But I remember just being like, oh, that really sucks. Because as a kid, I'm like, doo 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 doo. I'm like, oh no, that really sucks for you. And then they like traded in my jumper. They put it inside out. They did it inside out and put it in a bag, a plastic bag for me to put into my bag and then give to my mum afterwards. And um, I went back to school, and then everyone I remember was like, I remember everyone kind of avoiding me that day, and then the next day being like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, yesterday you just smelt really bad, and I didn't want to like say that you smelt bad because it wasn't your fault, but that was so gross. And everyone was so nice to me about it, and the poor girl was still like mortified and embarrassed about it. I also remember this time that I like we were sliding down the slide, and we had this game that we'd like, you'd like put your legs on either side of the slide, and then you'd go down, and then you'd stay there, and then the next person would go down, and then they'd stay there, and you'd kind of like just form a chain going up the slide. And I remember being like the second person to go down the slide, and as soon as I opened my legs, my pants completely tore open, and I can't even remember, like, I was just like sitting there like, oh, it's because I've got like this gaping hole here, and I'm like in year 3 or something, and I'm like, ah, and everyone's laughing at me. And I can't remember if I cried, but I probably did, knowing me. I just cried over everything. I still do. I'm like the emotional capacity of an elf. An elf? Elves? Elf? Elf. Of a child. Still. Nah, not really. I'm pretty strong. But I remember also there's this one time I used to do calisthenics when I was younger, and we did aesthetics, which is like that kind of bullshit, like fake smile, and like you kind of move really fluid and all of this crap. And I was dressed as Santa because we're doing only Christmas list or something like that. And I went up, and then I went into like a ballet sit, and as I had a present in my hand, and I'm supposed to like offer it out and then smile to the judges. But I remember being on stage, and this is on video, and someone will have it, and I really want to find it so I can share it. But I remember pushing out the present and then hearing a big and then me just being like like a psycho to the judges, because I couldn't do anything, and then I'm holding this present and I wanted to like cover it. I was like, oh my god. Yeah, I'm dressed as Santa as well, so I've got like the beard and everything. Going, oh, did I have the beard? I feel like I had it. I hope I did. That would be so funny. And I remember like walking off stage with the like just the present like covering my goods, because obviously I was pretty much the only boy that did calisthenics at the time as well. At one stage there were 3 boys in total that did it, but I was one of 3 or something. I was pretty good at it. Like, you know, I wasn't awesome, but I was a pretty okay player. Um, but yeah, I was I'm trying to avoid like thinking about the traumas of today by thinking about the traumas of yesterday. Yesterday. Awful, awful. Um, Something good that happened. I'm pretty sure we won that year. If we didn't, don't tell me we didn't, because I can't. I can't right now. Alright, goodbye. Thanks for listening. Enjoy your life.